There's just a couple side notes that I'll read you in the back of the book. One of them is about a note on Leicester City Football Club, and one is a note on Richard III. So, Leicester City Football Club. In 1884, a group of old boys from Wigston School in Leicester formed a football team and played on a field near Fosse Road. They called the team Leicester Fosse and eventually joined the Football Association in 1890. In 1908, they gained promotion to the First Division, the highest level of English football at the time, but they were relegated the very next season. So began a century-long seesaw pattern of promotions and numerous relegations. Their highest position during all this time was Second Division 1 in 1929. In 2002, the club hit their lowest point by going into administration with debts of over £30 million, to be followed in 2008 by relegation to the third tier of English football, their lowest position ever. Then, in August 2012, King Richard III was found under a Leicester City car park, and a right royal turnaround in the Foxes' fortunes began, with their long-awaited return to the top flight of the Premier League in 2014. After narrowly avoiding relegation again at the end of the season, they started the 2015-16 seasons as favourites to be relegated. Bookmakers assessed their chances of winning the Premier League at 5,000 to 1. However, as the whole world now knows, after an amazing season, the Foxes were crowned champions. And there's a note on Richard III. History in the United Kingdom was never more horrible than during the long civil war of the 15th century, which came to be called the War of the Roses, the struggle for the crown between the White Rose of the Yorkists and the Red Rose of the Lancastrians. This war raged on for decades and was essentially a family squabble about which line had the most rights to the throne, this son or that cousin, the Yorkist side line or the Lancastrian. It became a brutal and cruel conflict and drew the whole country. Sometimes the Lancastrian followers of Red Rose seemed to be winning, and then the White Rose of the Yorkists had their man on the throne. The kings, Henry, Edward, and Richard, may have different names and numbers, may have been White Rose or Red Rose, but were all soon deposed or killed. Betrayal was rampant. People and families changed sides depending on which way the wind or opportunity seemed to be blowing. Battles raged as the power ebbed one way, then the other. Opponents were imprisoned, banished, murdered, or executed in an effort to establish supremacy. It was an era of terrible tyranny and great suffering. By means just as devious and ruthless, the murderous as the predecessors, but not a lot worse, Richard III of the House of York, and therefore champion of the White Rose Yorkist family faction, manoeuvred and murdered his way to the throne in the year of 1483 at the age of 30. Shakespeare and others painted him as the cruelest of kings, largely because of the murder of two young princes in the Tower, his rivals to the throne. Whether Richard ordered this disappearance or simply allowed it to happen, we cannot be sure. We cannot even be certain that the boys died, but they did disappear, and they had a rightful claim to the throne as Richard III. Who knows how guilty he was? It was Shakespeare who made our mind up about him by writing his play Richard III, in which the king became the most villainous and reviled in our history. Two great actors, Laurence Olivier first, and in recent times Benedict Cumberbatch, in their dark portrayals of Richard III, have confirmed him as a personification of cunning, ambition, and evil. Richard's short reign came to an end at the Battle of the Bosworth Field in 1485, where he met the army of Henry Tudor, the Red Rose, and Lancastrian claimant to the throne. The story goes that in the battle Richard fell off his horse, could not find it again, and was surrounded by Henry's soldiers. They cut him down and killed him. His body was later taken to a monastery in Leicester, where it was buried hurriedly and without ceremony in an unmarked grave. Hundreds of years later, his body was discovered under what had since become a car park. The rest, they say, is history. He was buried finally in Leicester Cathedral, and shortly after, Leicester City Football Club, the Foxes, as they were called, who were 5,000 to 1 outsiders, won the Premier League. Now, I don't think they could have done it without some closely help. Do you? The Foxes might have helped too, I reckon. And that's the end. The The Ghost King by Michael Morpurgo.